very much, and thank you for asking me to come. It's a real honour to share a platform with Walter Wolfgang, and to Walter's been an inspiration to many of us, I think, and often being quoted at meetings like this. So pleasure to be with you, Walter. And thanks for organising this conference. It's very timely, as has been said. And we can see the far right on the march across Europe, East and West. Trump, Bolsonaro in Brazil, and the comedy character Tommy Robinson here. An invented name, an invented character, an archetypal, speakier mind, rough Londoner, a fiction, a fraud, but don't the media love him? In fact, don't the media love them all? Yeah. Don't the media love what we might call the soft far right, the soft far right, the Farages, the Borises, the Trumps. Think of the airtime they get compared to people who really have something to say about how we should live and how we could organise our lives and how we could protect the planet and how we could lead lives of dignity. Think of the airtime they get, and it's no coincidence, is it, that the way the media, particularly the BBC, seem transfixed by these people who spread this poison. Yeah. And I think I want to make 5 points really quite quickly. I know there isn't much time, but the first point is that the far right and their use of racism is not the end product. The end product is they stand for business, for big business, for the interests of capital, because they keep us divided by racism. And then the real interest they have is the preservation of profit for big business. That's their interest. We don't lose sight of that, because yes, racism is horrific and we all recoil from it in whatever form it comes. Islamophobia, anti-Semitism against black people, it's all disgusting and we recoil from it. But behind that stands big business and their interests in controlling production, distribution and exchange. That's the real enemy behind it all. Secondly, as has been said, as Diana said very clearly, and I won't labour this because of that, the far right feeds on poverty, alienation, despair, cynicism, and feeling of being cheated, feeling that they're being conned, and nobody knows quite how, but there's a sense of being conned, a sense of not having what you're entitled to, a sense of just being alienated, discarded. And that's the breeding ground for the far right. And the far right turns that frustration into hate, into division, into anger. So the frustration turns against your neighbour. The frustration turns against people who are more vulnerable than you, people who are even poorer than you may be yourselves. And the particular things that cause this frustration, again, Diana's spoken of them, so I won't labour the points, but I guess we're familiar with them all. Job insecurity, the fake notion of self-employed, where the worker carries all the risk, works 14 hours a day, but hey, he's his own boss, so he must be okay. No, he isn't. He's just in a situation where he has to exploit himself or herself. You don't need a foreman or a charge hand cracking the whip. The poor self-employed man in his van, he's got to practically kill himself for 14 hours a day to make a living. Bogus self-employment. Benefit sanctions, again, we know about that, how the poor are driven to hunger and suicide, or attempted suicide sometimes. Punish the poor. Housing and homelessness, the collapsing public services, the destruction of what we used to see as the civilized life through local authorities, actually, the parks, the libraries, the arts houses where people could gather, express themselves. This is all going, the buildings are sold off, the land is sold off. That destruction of everything that was civilized about our society gradually ripped apart. There's one example yesterday, a report which I guess everyone saw about the probation service. The failure of privatisation. People are now, the short-term prison sentence is far more likely now to go back to prison. People leaving prison with nowhere to stay, no hope of starting afresh, and so of course they go back inside. The privatisation of the probation service is a total disaster and cost many, many millions even to end their failed contracts. I just wanted to, again, it's not, we don't have to take our own words for it. The UN rapporteur, Philip Alston, inquiring into poverty, was scathing. And I mean, he wrote many things. I was going to read them out, but there isn't time really. But one of his many quotes was he said he'd met people who did not have a safe place for their children to sleep, people who sold sex for money or shelter, young people who felt gangs were the only way out of destitution, and people with disabilities who were being told that they needed to go back to work or lose support against their doctor's orders. He described how town hall budgets had been gutted in England, resulting in a record sell-off of libraries and parks and closures of youth centres. We know it's all true. And this is the breeding ground for the far right. So we have to end it. And how has it happened? Well, we know how it happened. We know we failed to defend the gains of 45 when we built a welfare state, and we took key industries and key services and key utilities into public ownership. But it was an infrastructure for a capitalist economy. When the capitalist economy started to fail, the right mobilized. Their economists in the Chicago school said, hey, we can't have this. We can't have trade unions. We can't have public ownership. You have to have a tougher policy. No more Edward Heath, enter Margaret Thatcher. Businesses deregulated, trade unions weakened, mass unemployment, the harshest market conditions they could imagine, the abolition of our public services, of our public ownership, and we saw what happened when capitalism ran in tooth and claw. And this is the bitter harvest of that political defeat. The critical moment was the defeat of the miners. When she defeated the miners, it was a clear road ahead. When we allowed the miners to go, that's what produced this chaos in our society now, and that's why the far right is on the march. And we can have a long view of this, because that's where it stems from. Our failure to organise politically. And who were the most culpable? Who were the most culpable? The trade union leaders of the time, who let the miners starve on their own, and the Labour Party leaders who rejected the miners' struggle absolutely. That was the condemnation of the right. I've run out of time. Can I have 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
Okay. Very, very quickly. How to fight back? We've got to extend Labour's programme, defend it and extend it, so that we... yes, we have housing, but we have building workers who are directly employed by councils. Yes, we have health, we defend the NHS, but everyone on a contract from cleaners to consultants. Yes, we invest in the regions, but we green sustainable industries with co-ops, collectives, publicly owned industries. And local communities, yes, youth services and so on. And I want to say one final thing. The danger we have now, can Corbyn's Labour Party deliver this? Yes, it can make a start. But unless we develop the programmes further, we shall hit the same buffers that we hit in 45. So we have to develop the programme, not be content with how it is. but it's a step on the right way. And now we face an existential threat with this smear of anti-Semitism. And I think we've got to be really clear on this. No tolerance of any kind of racism, including anti-Semitism, but we've got to go further. We've got to go further. We want open hearings, we want evidence interrogated, and when people are found guilty, absolutely they have to go. There's no place for any kind of racism in any part section of the labour movement. So open hearings, but equality before the law. And when you have an MP describing Jeremy Corbyn in public as an effing racist and anti-Semite, that's a foul-mouthed slander that should have been dealt with. A basic principle of justice is equality before the law. And we haven't obeyed that. Wild allegations, institutionally racist, and Tom Watson referring to bullying by racist thugs. Now, does he mean Labour Party members? He didn't give any evidence. If he did mean Labour Party members, let him provide the evidence. If he didn't, that's bringing the party into disrepute. Thirdly, we must defend the leadership, but the leadership must defend the integrity of the party and its members. We know the party is not institutionally and racist, and the leadership must defend us, because otherwise we are left vulnerable. So it's a change in the leadership stance. And remember one quote from Martin Luther King: "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter." This matters. Don't let's be terrified to speak out. Look, I'm sorry I've overrun. We have an extraordinary opportunity. We have a great opportunity to roll back the tide of racism and the far right. We have the beginnings of a programme. We have the potential to take a lead in Europe. Let's not throw that away. Let's not throw that away. We can begin the fight back. We have begun the fight back, I think, from the news this morning of what's happening in the Labour Party now. So let's fight back. No Pasaran.